So having said that this aspiration exists, having shown that this aspiration is rationally justifiable, and this rational justification Sri Aurobindo shows on the ground of two main arguments. That the method of nature is a method of harmonization. And at present that harmonization does not exist. Therefore, if what is being aimed at is the supreme harmonization, it is a rational justification. Already harmonization has been achieved when life is in matter and mind is in life. That harmonization has already taken place. Therefore, if a supramental harmonization is aimed at, there is nothing unnatural about it, not unjustifiable. And second argument is the argument of evolution. That if life has evolved in matter, if mind has evolved in life, what is impossible for supermind to evolve out of the mind is also justifiable. On both these grounds, Sri Aurobindo said, this aspiration is justifiable. But having shown this, Sri Aurobindo considers this whole problem again from a larger point of view. We are presented a larger canvas of argumentation, and we are told that this ideal can be questioned from the side of the materialist and also from the side of one who holds spiritual truths to be the highest. Both these levels can put questions against what is being proposed. According to materialism, matter alone is real. According to the spiritual man, spiritual is the only thing that is highest, but spirit can be attained only when you renounce matter. That is his argument. Therefore, if you are proposing to have higher spiritual consciousness in the human body, in the bodily existence, then that can be questioned. Because of these two very important possibilities of argument, Sri Aurobindo takes us through these two negations, the denial of the materialist and the refusal of the ascetic. And in doing so, Sri Aurobindo takes us step by step and saying how far the material knowledge itself has reached now, where the boundaries of material knowledge have been attained, and how we can go beyond the boundaries of the physical. And when we do so, we reach a cosmic consciousness. And what are the possibilities of judging cosmic consciousness? And therefore the question of criteria of supraphysical knowledge had to be discussed, which he has discussed. And then, having arrived at the supramental cosmic consciousness, Sri Aurobindo says that he who has got the supramental cosmic consciousness, he has no doubt about it. He has proof of it within himself. So Sri Aurobindo says, real then to the man who has had contact with it, that is with cosmic consciousness, or lives in it, is this cosmic consciousness with a greater than the physical reality. real in itself, real in its effects and works. The supramental consciousness does not doubt itself. It is subjective, objective to such an extent that there is no possibility of doubt. It is self-validating. And as it is thus real to the world, which is his own total expression, so is the world real to it, but not as an independent existence. For in that higher and less hampered experience, we perceive that consciousness and being are not different from each other, but all being is a supreme consciousness. All consciousness is self-existence, eternal in itself, real in its works, and neither a dream nor an evolution. Now, this description of the cosmic consciousness is extremely important, particularly for a philosophical understanding. We had seen at the beginning that philosophy is primarily connected with all physical and psychological facts. Secondly, it is an attempt to determine the significance of all these facts and the essential significance. And this significance is to be decided from the point of view of the totality. That's a philosophical point of view. And in the search of totality, it may even need to go beyond all the facts that we are normally concerned with. This is the fundamental method of philosophy. Now, Life Divine is supremely philosophical because it rises from step to step, and at every step it takes into account physical and psychological facts as they come in our view of our search. And most important, difficult task is to describe the physical and psychological fact accurately. Many of the philosophical dilemmas, confusions, debates have arisen because our data are not accurately described. I have not read any book comparable to the Life Divine in which the data of the physical and psychological facts are accurately described. This precision, this accuracy is par excellence in the Life Divine. There is no error whatsoever in the description of any state of existence. Even matter, for example, if you want to get the absolutely correct definition of matter, take for example, there is a chapter here called the Ascending Series of Substance, where Aurobindo gives an exact description of matter. the very first paragraph. The most accurate experience of matter, which we see, the full orbed description of matter, Sri Aurobindo says, if we consider what it is that most represents to us the materiality of matter, we shall see that it is its aspects of solidity, tangibility, increasing resistance, firm response to the touch of sense. In these 4-5 words, he has given accurate description of what we call materiality of matter. Sri Aurobindo's mastery of descriptions is truly amazing, because whether it is the description of a flower or a branch or of a season or of a cloud or of a tree or of a mood of tranquility, of silence, of dynamism, of hope, of despair, the sunshine of hope and the dark night of depression. In whatever condition you want to see the descriptions, most accurate descriptions we find in Sri Aurobindo. It's the most amazing capacity of describing, appreciating and giving the most essential point which accurately describes what is to be described. And therefore, there is authenticity of arriving at a real knowledge of physical and psychological facts. And this description of Sri Aurobindo, what he has given of the cosmic consciousness, in a few words, which he described in a long way in the Synthesis of Yoga. But even in these few words, the whole cosmic consciousness is brought into a clear daylight, as it were. So, this description that Sri Aurobindo, the world, he says it is in the cosmic consciousness, the world is real precisely because it exists only in consciousness. This statement, what is the proof of existence? The idea of proof itself arises only in the context of consciousness. Mountain does not demand the proof of mountain. There is no consciousness of the mountain in the mountain demanding the proof whether it exists or not. It is only consciousness that demands a proof. And why does it demand a proof? Because it is a subjective consciousness in which somehow the objectivity is contained. This, what we distinguish from subjectivity and objectivity as if two opposite things, they are not really opposite. The objectivity is only a state of subjectivity seen by subjectivity as other than itself. And that is the authenticity of objectivity. How do I know that objectivity is really objective? My subjectivity itself must be able to see the objectivity as objectivity. Otherwise, I will never have the proof of objectivity. My subjectivity must be capable of putting objectivity against itself against itself, and knowing itself. Shri Krishna is sure of Radha because Radha is himself Sri Krishna. And Radha is the objectivization of Sri Krishna, and Krishna knows that this is the objectivization of Sri Krishna. Only because of this identity in the difference that the real proof can be obtained. So Sri Aurobindo says, the world is real precisely because it exists only in consciousness. It is a conscious energy one with being that creates it. I repeat that sentence, very important. It's a conscious energy one with being that creates it. It is the existence of material form in its own right, apart from the self-illumined energy which assumes the form. That would be a contradiction of the truth of things, a phantasmagoria, a nightmare, an impossible falsehood. If a being can be created without consciousness, or if a consciousness can exist without the being, that would be an illusion. But it is not so. The world is not a phantasmagoria. It's a real manifestation of consciousness, because consciousness itself is the being. We have reached, therefore, a very high level of our inquiry, and we have come to this high point of cosmic consciousness. Now we are about to enter into the next step. Having entered into cosmic consciousness, Sri Aurobindo says this is not the topmost height to which we can reach. There are still other levels of consciousness. But this conscious being, which is the truth of the infinite supermind, is more than the universe and lives independently in its own inexpressible infinity as well as in the cosmic harmonies. This is a very important sentence. It's a summary of the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where Sri Krishna says, "They are in me, I am not in them. I am all of them, they are me, I am in them, I am in them, but I am not in them." This paradoxical statement that we find in the Bhagavad Gita in the 9th chapter is expressed in metaphysical terms in these words. This conscious being, which is the truth of the infinite supermind, is more than the universe and lives independently in its own inexpressible infinity as well as in the cosmic harmonies. This capacity to live in itself and independent of cosmic harmonies is another state of consciousness. It's a supraphysical consciousness, but in the science of the supraphysical, this is one of the topmost levels at which you arrive, and this is described accurately. And we have got to describe that as a datum. If you want to have philosophy, you should be true to the data. And these data have to be obtained and to be harmonized with the totality of the world. You will not be able to explain the world unless this datum is admitted, or the truth of it is stated, acknowledged, in the light of which alone the world can be truly explained. And you find the truth cannot be explained, the world cannot be explained if you don't admit this truth of existence and consciousness. This word Sri Aurobindo says, world lives by that. That does not live by the world. And as we can enter into the cosmic consciousness and be one with all cosmic existence, so we can enter into the world transcending consciousness and become superior to all cosmic existence. And then arises the question which first occurred to us, whether this transcendence is necessarily also a rejection. What relation has this universe to the beyond? This is a fact that transcends the world. It can live without the world. This is a fact, a datum of existence, is a consciousness. And therefore the question is very powerful. This kind of experience has been experienced in yoga.